the hunter become the hunter. What did you mean
Yeah.
by that personally?
Well, like in the beginning, it's like grab your children and your family, get your keys and call your nanny. Someone's being like chased in the beginning. That's like kind of the visual
Yeah.
I had in my head. And then that whole hook replays after the pre-verse and the verse, main verse. And it's like, no, this guy's actually the artist. Me is the hunter. So it's like, from the hunted becoming the hunter. And there's that growth, sort of that arc in the song where the artist kind of grows from that chaos out of control to over the verse. You're like, oh, he's got it under control. You better watch out because he's coming. He's planting his flag down.
Exclusive interviews, global voices, real stories.
We have Jairic on the podcast to tell us his story. So I've seen you've been making music for nearly 3 decades. Take us back to the start. What
I'm
first pulled
old,
you
man.
into music and what still keeps you in love with it?
You know what? I started off playing piano and drums at a young age and got opportunities to perform, whether like through church or school or
Yeah.
things like that. And early on, like teenage years, got opportunities to produce for other artists, some commercial work, things like that.
Yeah.
And I kind of took a pause, like in my 20s, and I just realized I love producing, and that's kind of what made me really dive back into it. And it's just one of the things, like it makes you happy, and it's like, what the hell, who cares? And then
Yeah.
I started
Yeah.
devoting more of like just to solo projects, uh, just because that was kind of what inspired me at the time. I had opportunities to do other stuff, and I think working on solo stuff just made me the most happy ultimately.
Okay. So growing up in Detroit, you were surrounded by that raw underground sound. How did the city shape your early approach to
Detroit,
doing the
man, is
music?
badass. Detroit is great, and there's so much music, raw music in Detroit. Being around the studio, having access to other artists that would come in and out, um, and just getting to learn from them. I think ultimately I'm a student,
Yeah.
at the end of the day. And then Detroit, obviously, there's, from Motown to punk music to, the electronic music. Detroit has
I was
such
gonna
a
say it.
vibrant
Yeah, it goes all the way back
music
to
scene. And so it's like
yeah,
everywhere. And so it just sort of naturally, rubbed off, and, I was like a sponge for a lot of that.
yeah. So you've also called Kane's home for a while. How does
And
living in
yeah,
France influence your crit?
just the inspiration from being able to travel, see other cultures, the food, the people, learn language. That has been incredible and eye-opening. And just in Cannes specifically, it's a big creative town. Obviously, there's like the Cannes Film Festival, but there's a lot of artists that live there, that I've been able to, get to know
Yeah,
over the years, and a lot of good people. And so there's just like inspiration all around really there.
yeah.
Yeah.
So from producing for others to crafting your own tracks, what was the turning point that made you fully step into doing your own artistry?
When I produce a song, I can't write anything until I produce the music. Because the tone, the personality of the track tends to dictate what it's about for me or what it kind of inspires me. And so, um, I would produce these songs, these beats, call it, and I just had something to say, whether or not it was important or not to the rest of the world. I felt like I had a story to tell or something to write, and I think ultimately that was it was therapeutic. It was fun, and I enjoyed it a lot. And I think that is what ultimately, I would make these beats, and I'm like, you know what, I think I'm going to keep this one for myself, because I want to do this. And then next thing you know, it just,
Yeah,
I stopped sending stuff to anyone, and I just kind of kept everything to record on. So
okay. You've also said music feels like solving a puzzle, shaping noise into something that flows. How do you know when that puzzle is finally solved?
Man, I don't sometimes you have to just be done with it, I think. Sometimes I just don't have anything else to
Yeah,
give to that specific track. Um, I kind of come to a rule with my friend and engineer that I work with that, you know, if it gets to like mix 3 or 4, like we're done. We can't really do anything more on it. I mean, not that we
yeah,
always like stick to that, but I think the hardest thing is writing and then, you know, because there's always stuff you can do, whether it be more drops or, you know, you wanna find better ways to say something, and at some point, you just have to be done with it. And so I'm
yeah.
I'm learning to just sometimes you have to be done with it and move on. But I
Okay.
yeah.
You mentioned that you also took a break from music for a while. What made you ultimately come back to it?
You know, I took a break. I had my 2 older kids that are teenagers, so when they were born, I kinda took a break, and I was younger. You know, focused on business endeavors, things like that. And like I said, ultimately, I started producing slowly again. And, you know, I would write a song, produce it, did a couple videos here and there. And ultimately, I just, you know, it kind of like one thing led to another, and the snowball, the momentum happened. And, um,
Yeah.
went through some, call it personal, like had a death of a loved one, and that really really took off the creative process, and it was like one of those things you like wake up, you know, after having success in business and other things. It was kind of like, you know, you're working hard. What are you doing this for? Um, you got to have some fun, got to be creative. And so I kind of got back into that. And next thing you know, like years went by, and, you know, there's 100 songs, 100, you
Oh,
know, 150 songs, something like that. So it was just like, you know, every other day you're like in the studio or making something. And, you know, it was therapeutic. It was fun, and I enjoyed it. And real supportive from my family, you know, my wife, kids, we're all supportive of it. So it was just one of those things that it wasn't like one thing happened, but it was like, you know, you're working on something day by day, you're trying to get better, you're trying to improve. And next thing you know, it's like there's this body of work there that kind of results from just that discipline of getting stuff done. And that was cool to be here and talk to you about it and think back of like when it all kind of got
oh, it
heavy
happened.
again.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was yeah, it's pretty cool.
So I also love your quote, you can either suffer the pain of discipline or the pain of disappointment. How does that mindset play into your creative life today?
You know, when I had that loved one pass away, it was uncle who was like a brother, and you know, it was like life. There's a suffering in life, and you can be disciplined, and if you're lucky, you have results, and or you could constantly be disappointed because, you know, I think discipline, it adds organization, structure to whether it be your life, your goals, your endeavors, and um you know, nothing happens. Like most people just don't win the lottery and have success overnight. It's like you work at it day by day. And I think having that sort of disciplined mindset, being disciplined actually like gave you more freedom to do a lot of different stuff. It's kind of a weird paradigm shift for me. And and I think without that discipline, I think people tend to, you know, have more disappointment. It was like one of my favorite quotes. And
Yeah.
you know, I applied it to everything, like health, wellness, everything in life.
So you've said music always comes first, that the beat is the pulse and the lyrics to follow. Can you walk us through that process on a song like Stick Figaro?
Yeah, so in this entire album, N equals 40, um, I ended up sampling a lot of old beats I made when I was like just starting off as a producer. I kind of unearthed them from the studio, And I was listening to him. I'm like, yeah, that was kind of dope, this, that. And so,
Yeah,
I would sample different piano notes that I wrote 20 years ago or something like that. And in Six Figaro, there was this crazy horn and that I use for this beat. And so, you make the beat, you go through the process. I had no idea what the song was going to be about. The personality, the song itself has to drive whatever the story, the narrative is about for me. And so in this case, it was like this tense, like kind of banging track, and then you just kind of write. I don't know. I kind of get like foggy, and then next thing you know, the song
yeah,
comes out. Then you refine it over days, weeks, whatever. But generally, the writing process is pretty quick once the beat is sort of put together. You can feel the vibe of a song,
yeah.
and then you're like, yeah, I know what this is.
You also,
Yeah.
I know you also described Stipfogro as chaos turning into control, the hunter become the hunter. What did you mean
Yeah.
by that personally?
Well, like in the beginning, it's like grab your children and your family, get your keys and call your nanny. Someone's being like chased in that in the beginning. That's like kind of the
Yeah,
visual I had in my head. And then that whole hook replays after the pre-verse and the bridge, the verse, main verse, and it's like, oh, this guy's actually the artist. Me is the hunter. So it's like, from the hunted becoming the hunter, and there's that growth, sort of that arc in the song where the artist kind of grows from that chaos out of control to over the verse. You're like, "Oh, he's got it under control. You better watch out because he's coming. He's planting his flag down."
yeah. Your song fuses Detroit's underground grit with modern luxury. How do you strike that balance between the street and the sleek?
Noisy, loud hip hop tracks that just bang and shake glass and cars and all that, but being able to travel and spend time in gorgeous places around the world as well, there's that sort of swag element that you kind of want to add. Um, and so that's a nice compliment. Thank you. Because I don't know if I'm setting out to do that in all of these songs, but I probably would. If I knew to do that from the beginning,
Yeah,
that would definitely be like an intention. But yeah, I think just all of
well, it came
life's
out that way.
experience,
So,
all of life's experiences kind of there's no lies once the music and everything goes out there, and it all kind of funnels, all of your life experiences funnel into that, and you just put it all out there in a song.
yeah. So, who or what are some of the most unexpected influences that have shaped your current sound?
I mean, first, my family, my wife, kids, my kids are in more of the songs than not, whether it's sampling their voices, funny things they say that maybe give me an idea for later. Um, I tend to like play some of the demos, they're like my first audience, really. And so I'm like, if they think it's all right, then it must be
Yeah,
all right. Like, so if they're dancing, um, yeah,
true.
maybe there's something to that track. And then, being able to travel, and then just life, the ups and downs of life, uh, being able to, you know, emotionally sort of tell a story and capture a lot of that, I think it's important for me as an artist. And, um, I think all of that influence, uh, just life around me day to day, that's huge. That's absolutely huge.
So, you've mentioned before influence with Nas, Wu-Tang Clan, and even 1960s guitar riffs. How do you weave those different eras and genres together?
I love that kind of music. I love hip hop, 90s hip hop. I mean, all of hip
Do
hop,
you,
really. All of those artists were incredible. I actually got to see Nas in Germany last year. That was great. I mean, he was like watching him on stage do what he did was
yeah,
just, he was like putting on a master class. And yeah, so I mean, all of that, all of the artists out there, pretty incredible, and goats in my
Yeah.
mind.
So your single "Don't Let Me Put a Track on You" hit nearly 2 million streams. I caught the ears of outlets like Notion and NPR. How has that recognition changed your perspective as an independent artist?
Incredible is, man, totally humbling. Um, Incredible. I mean, I was pretty geeked, to be honest with you. Um, and I had the opportunity to sign deals in my life recently, even this year. And
Yeah,
I just there's something about being independent and being able to do whatever the hell I want. It's kind of fun. And um and so that
yeah,
it's been cool. It's been great, and totally like grateful for all the work that people put into it. I kind of had the easy job. I created the music and performed it and wrote it. That to me is like the easy part of all this at the end of the day. So yeah, I work with some amazing people that um, have helped, and so shout out to them. Absolutely.
okay. So this week, in the past week, has been a lot of, I guess, controversy over AI and music. Have you seen the AI resurrecting rappers like Tupac and artists like Michael Jackson? What's
A
your
little
take
bit.
on
Now
that? And
I kind of
also
like
AI as a tool as a producer?
crazy. I know. Maybe I should look into it. No, I don't know. I read a little bit about it. Um, in terms of what it can do for musicians, artists. I'm definitely behind the eight ball on all
Yeah,
that. And to me, maybe I'm a control freak a little bit. I don't know, but I like being in charge of my project, my music, and being able to make the decisions uh, with myself, with sound engineer. And so,
yeah,
yeah, I don't know, who knows, but I do know that AI it's everywhere, and it's only probably still scratching the surface, really.
yeah. So do you think that's a good thing for artists and producers or a
In
negative,
some
or it's
ways,
just something that's going to be a part of the industry?
I'm sure it's going to be a part. I'm sure it's going to give the ability for some people to do stuff that otherwise maybe didn't have the talent, I think, or whatever, or
Yeah,
energy or motivation. I mean, to think like I could create a song like that, and it's kind of wild. Obviously, it's coming, and I'm sure there's someone who's going to create some beautiful music out of it, and we'll have a hit.
yeah.
But
Because
taking the
I've
legwork
seen
out of all,
50 Cent even posting,
yeah, he's a
or
man. He's
even saw 50 Cent posting AI music of his songs, but they're like from the 1960s, like Motown era, what you said earlier with
really,
Motown.
that's wild. Yeah, I'll check. I'm gonna
So
check
I
that out
don't know
after
if
we
that's
hang up.
going to be a thing. Yeah, it's kind of crazy. But you've built businesses and led tunes. Yeah, he posted on his
I'm gonna check it
Instagram
out.
this week.
Yeah,
Yeah, so there's
he's
people who've
great. I saw
made
him in
like
concert a
whole
couple times.
YouTube channels just dedicated to stuff like that. So it's kind of crazy.
Wow.
But you've worked with building your business in the real world. How does that experience help you with your actual music side, your business side?
I think going back to that discipline and creativity, there's something to be said about showing up every day, working on something, working with people, that motivational leadership, whether it's yourself or others, just challenging teams, people, yourself to rise above to achieve a goal. I think that's incredibly important. And I think a lot of that stuff just works hand in hand. Truly, I think that's huge, and I think there are a lot of a lot of transferable skills from running a team, managing a team, running a business to creating art and putting it out there. I think there's just a ton of transferable skills. And then there's like
Yeah,
this competitive side. I played college football, for a year and played sports my whole life. And so there's that competitive side of me that, you just want to get better. You want to push, you want to create goals and really work to achieve them. I think for me, all of that is like underneath all of this.
Okay. So tell us about, is it La American? La American?
L'Americain, yeah, that is it's a
American.
full length album. I wrote in Europe and France mostly.
Yeah.
Recorded in Detroit, but produced in France. And I'm planning to drop that next spring, summer, something like that.
Okay.
And it's, in my opinion, some of the best music I've done.
Yeah.
It has been an incredible process. It's all mostly recorded. I mean, I'm still producing beats, you know,
To add
all the
influence.
time, every day, but a lot of it's recorded. I think I recorded like 30 songs for it, so I'm trying to figure out what's gonna make the album and what's not. So,
Yeah. So what do you want your audience to feel when they step into the world of your music?
man, kind of same token of what we've been talking about. Feel permission to just go out there, kick ass, uh, set goals, achieve it. I want them to feel motivated after listening to it. If they're going through something that's tough, uh, you know, be strong, get out of whatever bullshit you're in, and be grateful for life.
Yeah. So decades from now, when people look back at your catalog, what do you hope they say about your legacy?
Man, that guy was dope. That would be, I think ultimately, I wanted to have a large body of work and for people to be like, yeah, that was good shit. I liked it.
Yeah. So if you could tell your younger self, that Detroit kid making beats, one thing about the journey ahead, what would it be?
Just stay focused, stay hungry, you know, keep your head up and just and continually believe in yourself, in your gut, your instincts, and just keep marching forward. And it truly is a journey, all of it. And success generally doesn't happen overnight. And don't let anything get you too down. Don't let anything get you too up. Just stay the course.
So any lasting words you want to leave the audience?
No, thank you for everyone for all the love, and want to appreciate the time to chat with you. And
Thank you.
thank you very much.
Worldwide Entertainment TV is back, where culture live, legends rise, and stories matter. Catch us on Brooklyn Free Speech HD or stream worldwide.
Yes, check it out, man. This is your boy Akon, and right now you got it locked to Worldwide Entertainment TV. Keep it locked.